Takeaways from experience in logistics. You run a warehouse, and somehow you become the bottleneck. One minute you're onboarding a new client. Next minute you're answering Slack, fixing a pick error, talking to carriers, jumping on a surprise call, putting out fires you didn't start. So yeah, some days it feels like this. The goal isn't to fly faster. It's to build a warehouse that doesn't need you flying at all. If you're running ops and feel like growth equals chaos, success equals exhaustion, just hire more people isn't the answer. You're not broken. Your systems are. Most warehouse growth problems aren't growth problems. They're process problems, visibility problems. We've always done it this way problems. When order volume spikes, the cracks don't suddenly appear. They were already there. Growth just exposes them. That's why scaling feels chaotic for so many ops teams. Not because they're bad at their jobs, but because the system was never built to scale. If your warehouse feels fine until it's busy, it's not fine. Hard truth. Most warehouse problems aren't problems. They're symptoms. Another example, late orders, missed picks, inventory that's almost right. Everyone wants to fix the symptom, but the real issues are usually unclear ownership, no standard work, zero feedback loops. You can't KPI your way out of a broken process. You have to design the operation so normal people can win on a normal day. If your team needs a hero to survive, the system already failed. After years in warehouse ops, here's what actually makes things feel easy. Not hustle, not heroics, not working longer hours. It's the boring stuff like clear ownership, standard work, visible priorities, fewer special cases. When those are in place, the warehouse gets quieter. It's not slower, it's predictable. That's when the growth stops feeling like chaos and starts feeling repeatable. Most warehouses don't struggle because of volume, they struggle because everything is treated like an exception. Rush orders, special clients, one-off processes, just this once. After a while, everything is special and nothing runs smoothly. The fastest warehouses I've seen aren't flexible, they're disciplined. If your operation feels chaotic, ask yourself this: how much of your day is spent handling exceptions that seem to happen every single day? Most warehouse chaos is self-inflicted, not because teams are bad, not because clients are impossible, but because leadership keeps saying yes to everything. Custom processes, rushed onboarding, we'll figure it out later. Eventually, the warehouse becomes a museum of bad decisions and regret. Order doesn't come from working harder, but instead it comes from saying no earlier in the process. Chasing bad money is like chasing a bull wearing a red cape. If everything is a priority, then nothing is. When every order is urgent, every client is VIP, every email needs an immediate reply, and every fire gets escalated, yeah, your team stops distinguishing signals from noise. And once that happens, the real emergencies look like normal days. Here's the reality of it all. High-performing warehouses don't move faster. They sequence better. They decide what wins today and what can wait. Because you know why? Productivity isn't about speed, it's about controlled focus. If your floor feels frantic every afternoon, is it volume or is it a lack of decision-making upstream by the right leaders? One of the most expensive mistakes I made early in warehouse ops was saying yes to the wrong first client. On paper, it looked great. Growing volume, urgency, big opportunity. In reality, constant exceptions, no clear expectations, and invoices paid months past due. That one client quietly dictated how our entire operation ran. And I learned the hard way. Your first few clients don't just bring revenue. They shape your systems, your culture, and your stress levels daily. They test you because they know they can push the boundaries. If I were starting over, I'd choose boring every time. I can't count how many times I've seen the perfect plan fall apart the moment it hits the warehouse floor. Sure, on paper, everything flows, everything falls into place exactly as planned, no delays in any part of the process, and life is perfect. However, in reality, carriers show up earlier than scheduled, pallets arrive damaged or short, a label doesn't scan, and suddenly the perfect plan isn't a plan anymore. It's improv night at the local comedy club. Truth is, even the best operators I know don't chase the perfect plan. They build systems that work even when things go wrong, and the train comes completely off the tracks. That's the difference between a theory and the reality of throughput. Most warehouse problems aren't labor problems, they're process problems, hidden in plain sight. When the process is clear, average teams look great. When the process is chaos, even great teams look average. The difference isn't effort, it's clarity. We've seen operations double output without hiring a single person by just fixing the flow. If your team is constantly firefighting, it's not a people issue, it's a systems issue. Speed doesn't fix broken workflows, it just helps you make mistakes faster. Throwing more people at a bad process feels productive until the errors go up, rework overwhelm the team, everyone's exhausted, and that razor-thin margin just evaporated. The best warehouses don't move faster first, they move smarter first. Operational flow beats breakneck hustle every single time. Inventory accuracy issues aren't counting problems, they're discipline problems, hidden in plain sight. Cycle counts don't fix bad habits, they just measure them. If a product isn't scanned when it moves, if locations aren't verified, if shortcuts are tolerated just this once, then your system isn't wrong, your execution is, and the team needs to be corrected. The best operations don't rely on hero employees, they rely on boring consistency. Accuracy isn't a quarterly project, it's the daily standard. If your team is constantly chasing inventory ghosts, it's not a software issue, it's a standards issue. The most expensive warehouse you'll ever find is the one that looks the cheapest on paper. Low rates hide slow picks, missed cutoffs, lost customers, and by the time the brand figures it all out, it's too late. They've already paid for it in refunds, returns, and churn. Good operations don't feel expensive. They feel boring, predictable, and on time. Chaos is loud. Efficiency is quiet. No matter how fast our team goes, speed doesn't fix a broken process. It just hides it, temporarily. Sure, you can rush picks, skip scans, and you can absolutely figure it out later. All well and good, right? Wrong. When returns spike, inventory drifts, and customers start asking questions, that's when it's too late. Moving faster isn't the answer. Moving correctly is. The best warehouses don't look frantic, they look controlled. They just hum. And behind the scenes, the organized chaos of the floor just feels right. From my recent experience, if you're constantly hiring, but nothing feels more stable, odds are it's not a recruiting problem, it's a design problem. High turnover is a telltale sign of chaos. You might not even realize that leadership has set unclear expectations, a constant urgency, and no standard work. Maybe instead of blaming the team, step back and blame the structure instead. Good operators don't leave stable systems, they leave unpredictable ones. Trust me, if your building feels like a roving door, it's not a labor market issue, it's an environmental issue. People want smooth, predictable workflows, not chaos and screaming. Most warehouse problems, not labor problems, they're priority problems. When everything is urgent and nothing is clear. If an unscheduled inbound jumps the line, if inventory arrives without notice, if promos launch without coordination, Then when something breaks, everyone blames the warehouse. Good 3PLs build strong processes, but great 3PLs build strong partnerships. Because fulfillment only works when both sides are disciplined, not just the warehouse. Like I said before, most warehouses think they have a labor problem, but they don't. What they have is process problems. When orders fall behind, the first reaction is always the same: hire more people. But more people inside a broken process just creates more congestion, more mispicks, longer pick paths, and more reworking. I've seen warehouses add 10 employees when a simple fix of a pick path and slotting could have doubled output. In fact, I just had a conversation with another warehouse that laid off 100 extra employees overnight when an enterprise